Hello, my amazing brothers and sisters. I hope that this message finds you in good health, in good wealth, and in abundance. I'm excited to be recording this message for you today. I have a powerful testimony that I will not put on this video. I will be doing testimony videos from myself and a handful of other people that I have been communicating with back and forth, and that is to come, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited to be recording this message for you because every time I pray, there's always I always run everything by the Word of God, and I believe that the most powerful answer that you're looking for is in the Word. And so if you pray for God to give you a word, to give you answers to the things that you're seeking understanding into, He will do that. The Bible says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One bringeth understanding. And that is so ever true. But I think we also have to pray for God to reveal those things to us. And even if we read the Bible and we don't understand what the Bible is saying, I think it's still powerful that we bring that in prayer, that He will help us to understand what He's trying to hear His voice, because we will hear His voice through the Word. And so I'm going to dive into the Word quickly, because this completely this blessed my heart last night when I was praying, and I am reading Psalms 78 verses 7, and it says, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the work of God, but keep His commandments, and might not be as their father, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set their hearts aright and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. I'm reading from a King James Version. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God and refused to walk in the law, and forgot His work and His wonders that He had showed them. Marvelous things did he in the sight of their fathers, and in the land of Egypt, and in the field of Zon. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and He made the waters to stand as a heap. In the daytime also He led them with a cloud, and all the nights with a light of fire. He clave the rock in the wilderness, and gave them drinks out of the great depth. He brought streams also out of the rock, and caused water to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet more against Him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. And they sinned yet more against Him, provoking the Most High in the wilderness. They did not believe Him. They did not believe even after all the miracles. And we are the people of Israel. This generation, we are the generation of Israel. And it says that, and they tempted God in their hearts by asking for meat for their lust. And they spoke against God and said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, He smote the rock that the waters gushed out, and the streams overflow. Can He give bread also? Can He provide flesh for His people? Therefore the Lord heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in God and trusted not in the salvation, though He had commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven, and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven. Men did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in the heavens, and by His power He brought in the south wind. He rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feather fowls like as the sand of the sea, and He let it fall in the midst of their camps round about their habitation. So they did eat and were filled, and for He gave them their own desire. They were not estranged from their lust. But while their meat was yet in their mouth, the wrath of God came upon them, and slew the fattest of them, and smote down the chosen men of Israel. For all this they sinned still, and believed not for his marvelous work, his wondrous work. Therefore their days did consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and inquire early after God. And they remembered that God was their rock, and the high God their Redeemer. Nevertheless they did flatter him with their mouth, and they did lie unto him with their tongues. For their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. But he, being full of compassion, forgave them for their iniquity. And when I read this last night, it was like, when you just have one of those like aha moment, because a verse just completely transformed the way you think, and really it questioned your faith. I had something happen to me last night, and it wasn't a big significant thing, but it was very, very, very very significant in a small way, and I mean that by saying that in a way that God is trying to teach us every single day how to trust him, how to fully put our faith in him, and to trust him with the little things in our lives. And he will teach us these things through little things that happen on a daily basis in our life. And I won't go into the story tonight about my testimony, but sometimes God will just test you with small things to see how you handle the small things before he could give you the big things, to see, to know, and to trust that you have, that he can trust you with his people. It's like the man or the woman who wants to build a big empire full of leaders. It's like, how is he going about doing that? Can God first trust him to lead his children? Because if God can't trust you to lead people, he won't give you those people until you're ready. And the only way that he can really test us is by going through the little, mundane things in life, and finding pleasure in those things, and trusting him with the little things, trusting him maybe with the part-time job that we have, or the job that maybe doesn't pay that well. Trusting him with those things before he can really give us the big positions, or the big establishment to run, or the big leadership position where you're in charge of tons and tons of people. He has to trust you with the little things first before he could trust you with the big thing. And this verse talks about the people of Israel being in the wilderness and being taken out of slavery, and God is now leading them. God has given them a leader, really, to lead them to freedom, to lead them to a place where they could a land of milk and honey, and yet they're still complaining. They're still complaining about how much they don't have, and how little they have, and oh, if this God is so marvelous, then can he do this? They're constantly testing him. But my favorite part of this verse, really, guys, is the part where it says, but he, being full of compassion, no matter how much we sin, no matter how much we turn from him, if we just humble ourselves and come to our knees and trust that he's got our best interests at heart, that he's a God that's full of compassion, he's full of mercy, he's full of forgiveness, he's full of love. His promise is, since the beginning of time, his promise has never failed us, not even once. It's literally never ever failed us. And as long as we just trust him, we trust him with our lives, we trust him with our jobs, we trust him with our money, that he will pour his love on you. He will literally open up the gates of heaven and pour his love. But he wants all of you. He wants your heart. He wants you to trust that he is God, because he is God. I always, the most amazing things that happen in my life that continue to blow, like God just continues to blow my mind every single day. Even yesterday, I got tested. And when we get tested and we come across challenges, of course, our normal reaction is to go automatically into, into defensive mode, or to go into panic mode. If you're like me, you go into like rebuking the devil mode, and you're like, this is the work of the devil. But it's like, is it really the work of the devil? Is it the work of the devil that you missed the plane? Maybe God was trying to stop you from a situation that it wasn't a part of his plan. Because we want our life to be so aligned with the life that he has planned for us, and we want him to walk the path before we could, and we just want to be the follower of his divine plan. And so if we take charge of things and we automatically go into panic mode or blame mode and rebuking the devil mode, we're not even giving our mind the opportunity to think about the abundance that God is, that certain situation that could seem like something so bad at the time, but really it turns out to be a blessing in disguise. That's faith. That's having faith. That's you believing that relationship that did not work out, it's for your good. He's looking out for you. That's that job that you lost, that it's not all lost, that God had a better plan, and you just have to trust in his plan. Faith is a tricky thing. Believing as God is, but he's going to test you. He's going to test you because he wants to know that you fully are submitted to him, and that he can trust you with anything. Because if he can trust you with $1, to bless a homeless man, or to give $10 to the church as an offer, that he can trust you with $10,000. But are we all strong enough to have that big of a faith to last that long, to be in fighting mode and in learning mode and in student mode for that long, to let God actually come and enter into our life and show us the way, and submit to him, and submit our money to him, and submit ourselves to him, and our health to him, and our relationships to him, our marriage to him, our future wives and husband to him, and submit those things before we actually get them. Because before you get it, you actually have to give it up. You have to give it up. You have to know that it's not by power that you'll get those things, but it's actually by faith that you'll get those things. It's by faith that you'll get that relationship. It's by faith that you'll get that job. It's by faith that you'll, whatever amazing thing that you want to take place in your life, it's always by faith that it will come. There's, I've had so many verses change my life. I think it's Zechariah 9:9, and it talks about, it talks about the coming of Christ. When you read it, it seems like it's talking about the coming of Christ, but there's something so much more powerful in that verse that I find. And, I could be wrong, but I believe it goes like this. It goes, "Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion, and shout greatly, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you. See, your king comes to you. See, your king comes to you. Righteous and victorious." It's talking about the coming of Jesus. But it says, see, your king comes to you. See it. We don't know. Some of you believe, some of you don't believe. I believe in the coming of Christ, but I haven't seen it. But the verse says, see it. You have to first see it in your mind. There is so much power in being able to imagine the things that you want, the coming of Christ, before it actually come to fruition. You have to see it. And so you're using your mind to really, and your thought process to really see these things come to fruition first in your mind before they come to fruition in reality. And that's like success principle in a box. You create your own success in your mind first, and then you'll live it out in your life. And I preach this to my son every day. I preach this to myself every day. It's just taking captive of every thought that's in your mind, knowing that, and being like, just creating a lot of awareness around the things that, go on in your mind. I was talking to a lady the other day, and over the course of 10 minutes talking to her, I felt like fainting, and I was getting all dizzy and crazy because she was talking about someone she wasn't really too fond of, and another gal that she wasn't too fond of, and she just kept talking about like just all these negative things, like, oh, she's this and she's that. And it's like, how often do we talk about our relationships like that? How often do we talk about our jobs like that? Do you know the kind of energy that you're putting into talking about, like, putting a negative thought into something? Even if the situation wasn't that bad, but by you speaking negativity into it, it makes it 10 times as worse. You may as well just like wish that person was not even alive, because that's the energy that you've literally put into it, and it's like it's killing you, right? And so I think that, you know, we should all remember to take captive of all the thoughts that we have in our heads, and especially the words that we speak to ourselves. I've just been learning this the last, 3 years, and I can't believe nobody taught me this when I was growing up. And I hope that, when I start diving into some deep, like, leadership, like kingdom leadership, kingdom principle stuff, it will really, really, really bless you. But I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope this message blesses you, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.